I received an 83-year life sentence. I didn't have any hope. I was incarcerated at that time. It was 25 years, right? I never thought I was going home. In this not having no hope, some men, they just give up. What I found was that I had so much shame behind what I did that I couldn't heal. I spent 26 years trying to get out of prison, and now I'm trying to do everything to go back inside. My dream is to heal people. That's what I want to do. That's where I find my purpose at.
Hello, this is the INNOVAT3 Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Hahs, and I'm here with my man, my friend, Brian A.C. Gonsoulin.
Brian A.C. Gonsoulin, yes.
Yeah, I met you in prison 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, who's counting?
Who's counting? Yeah. And you are a lived experience expert in incarceration, in broken families. Yes. ACEs, ACEs, yeah. You're also a lived experience expert in transformation, redemption.
I like that.
I like that. And you're not just talking it, you're living it.
Living it. Yeah.
And you were doing it inside the prison. You were the general manager of the whole, well, you started out as a player.
And then I played for like 3 or 4 years, and I figured that, from the skills that I learned while I was inside, I figured that I could help the program out in other ways by kind of giving it a structure, and then taking the mission of the people before me, and moving it forward. So the mission behind the San Quentin basketball program has always been using basketball as a platform to teach men life skills. So our thing is we want to teach men life skills through a game of basketball.
And I love how it's evolved organically, but boy, it's powerful. And the proof's in the pudding.
Yes. Yes. We have a significant amount of people who is outside now in society that's doing well.
It has to be 100. It's certainly over 100.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's not rich, but being rich is not living life, right? Living life is about having a full life and not going back to prison. So
I have learned so many things from you. Like, you were given that talk and say, like, perspective, like, this was when you were still incarcerated. I don't think you had a date yet, but you're getting close to getting out. And you're saying, like, you guys outside don't know how good you got it. Like, you got to be grateful. And you talked about traffic. You said, I'm dreaming. Like, you complain about being stuck in traffic. Like, I'm dreaming about being stuck in traffic. I would love to be stuck in traffic. I can't complain when I'm stuck in traffic because Brian's voice comes into my mind, and I'm like, I am so grateful I'm stuck in traffic. I'm not in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
It could be so worse.
Yeah, I agree with that now. I remember saying that, and I always use that as an example. And now I have the opportunity to be stuck in traffic. Right. And now and I was a fool of that. And I still, I don't care. I cut my music up and whatever. You're stuck in traffic because it's not going to change. The situation is not going to change. Right. You complaining is not going to make anything better. Yeah, that's what it is. So, okay.
And you stay chill and,
Yeah.
Boredom's the best practice. The brain, if we're always on something, we get our best ideas when we get bored, as we're not doing anything. So like, there you go. We're always wanting to be occupied. You're stuck in traffic. Just embrace it and let your brain relax and be bored. So you're going to get a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but back to, what true thriving is.
Mm-hmm.
But, hundreds of guys have gotten out. And that means, I don't know if it's hundreds, but I do know it's over 100 for sure.
It's a lot of guys.
A lot of quad as a pro. And it's the power of community. We build community inside. Now there's a community outside. It's a diverse community because what else other than basketball would bring you and I together, pretty distinct background.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It works magic. And we can count on a handful, the guys that aren't thriving.
Yes. I think even the ones that's not, the community embraces people who have been a part of that program.
Yeah.
So I want to say 3 weeks ago, we brought all the guys together to film this thing called The Road Game. And we brought guys to Novato High School. And some guys traveled all the way from Los Angeles to come. And the crazy thing about that is that was my first time seeing some of the guys. And then I have everyone on an email chain, on a text chain. And you say one thing on it, and it'll just go for hours on there, right? And guys support each other. Guys in the community support each other, especially if you played with the team and you going to Los Angeles. All the guys that moved out to Los Angeles, stay in the community.
Yeah.
They stay together and help each other.
And the guys that aren't doing so well are the ones that move out of the area and don't have that community.
And they disconnect themselves.
It's hard, yeah.
They disconnect themselves.
Yeah. You need community.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing right now?
Oh, so right now I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. I'm in the process of I'm a producer in this role game that we're trying to put together. I'm associate engineer for the Uncuffed podcast. I go inside of San Quentin for a program I started with the.
So you're a producer of Uncuffed podcast. Tell me about.
I'm an associate engineer.
Okay.
So Uncuffed is a podcast that started in San Quentin after Ear Hustle got started.
Okay.
And it's just telling our stories. It's just another way to tell our stories. And the thing I like about Uncuffed is that anybody who's been a part of the Uncuffed family inside of institution, either inside of San Quentin or Soledad, San Quentin or Solano, and now CRW, the women's prison. But anyone who has been a part of that program, when they come home, they will find a way for them to hire you in some capacity. Some way they have different fellowships that they offer. It's a really good program. And so I'm really so privileged to be a part of it.
Wow, this is really cool. So
yes.
So, Ear Hustle's award-winning, it was a huge podcast.
Oh, put us on the map.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So then this other podcast, what's its name?
Uncuffed.
Uncuffed. I get it. Uncuffed.
Okay.
Now they're out. Yes. So now it's following the stories out. So similar. Ear Hustle is a day in the life.
No, it's still inside. So
inside.
So Uncuffed starts off with, they teach you in a cohort of people in a class, and they teach you how to produce a radio segment, and then it's aired on KALW on Cross Currents.
Okay.
And then they take the best pieces from that season and do a podcast around it.
Okay.
And so what I do is the stories that they tell inside, when they come out, I have to engineer. So I got to fix them. I got to make sure the sound's right. I have to cut out all of the stuff that's not supposed to be in it. And then I pass it on to another formerly incarcerated guy, and he sound designs it and get it ready for the podcast. And then
well, what you really are is an advocate for prison reform, right? And for
most definitely
human reform.
Yeah.
That's what your life's really about.
Yeah, my life is about, I believe in people because I know people didn't believe in me at one time. And I know if I could change, anybody could change.
So what was it? What was that change? What caused it?
So my change happened, I received an 83-year life sentence for kidnap and rape, and I didn't have any hope, right? I never thought I was going home. But in this not having no hope, some men not have hope, they just give up. It's a license to do whatever you want to do. For me, I've always been a person who was always trying to do something, no matter what it was in other institutions. When When I was in Solano, I was a barber first, and then I was the athletic coordinator, the rec coordinator. So I kind of did anything that had to do with activities. I ran on the yard. Right, this was a big yard, had 4 buildings, and I organized all the sports. I ran the tournaments in the building. I just
Solano.
did everything. This is in Solano.
Okay, we're going into Solano. You want to come?
Sure, I want to come. I would love
March
to come.
29th is the tentative date that Irwin and I are going to put together a team.
I would love to come in there and talk.
Yeah.
Share.
Wow.
I would love to do it. That would, you see me in Circle.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Today I'm supposed to be getting the release form, so I'll send it to you.
All right. I have the forms, so I can send you the forms. I have all the forms.
Okay.
Right, and so in that I arrived at San Quentin in 2011, December 2011, and I seen some.
When did you first go in?
I went in 98. The first time I went in was in 1989.
Okay.
So I've been in and out of prison since 1989. So I came in the drug era, right, in the crack era. I came through then. I had a drug addiction, started off in high school. So you talk about ACEs. I know all about ACEs. I was fortunate enough to be a part of another program that I helped start inside called Back to the Start, where we take stories, your ACEs stories, childhood trauma stories, and take them and put them in front of legislators to try to back up laws.
ACE for our listeners. An ACE is an adverse childhood experience, and now that's the term being used to understand the trauma of behind the negative action.
Yes. And I never use my experiences as an excuse for the crime that I committed or the crimes that I committed, right? They only contributed to my thinking and my behaviors, right? And I didn't understand this until I heard a man's story. I heard a man tell his story, and it was so powerful. This was in 2014. 13 or 14.
From 98 to 2014, you're still.
I'm on the fence. I'm doing everything. I was smoking marijuana and I was drinking just to suppress some of the stuff that I experienced.
Were you violent or?
I was never violent. I wasn't a violent person.
Okay, so you're definitely suppressing, self-medicating, staying away, hiding from the pain.
Yes, and just to survive.
Just surviving.
Yeah, just to survive. Because just think, what would you do if you had an 83-year to life sentence, right? Well, how would you? Most people say, I don't know how you did it, right? They don't understand, right? But humans, they're going to adapt to whatever. We just are going to adapt. We'll figure it out. And so in my adapting, I use the drugs and the alcohol to kind of suppress, reality. So as long as I stayed out of reality, I was all right. And so that's what the drugs did. Until prior to me getting to San Quentin in December 2011, March 2011, I got sober in Soledad.
Okay.
So
that was a step in the journey of the.
Yeah, I stopped drinking and smoking weed. I had got so high in the cell. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I got so high that I swore if I ever come down that I would never do it again. That I would never do this again. And I stopped. I wanted to stop before. I just didn't know how. But I finally stopped. And in that 10 months, my mind got a little clearer. And then when I got to San Quentin, it was like no other prison that I've been to. They had a college program. They had a basketball program. They had a baseball team. They had everything there. And so I just got involved. And I got involved in it in the media center. And the guy who's running the program, he was really into programs. He was really into self-help. And he started signing me up for stuff. Oh, I got this group. Come on with me to this. Come on with me to this, right? And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I'm sitting in these groups and I don't know what I'm hearing, right? And then we was filming this group called GRIP, stands for Guiding Rage and the Power. It's a 52-week program that teaches you emotional intelligence. It teaches you how to regulate your emotions through your body signals, right? So I have telltale signs on my body. My hands start sweating. I know it's something wrong. So it teaches you how to put a space in between reacting and responding.
Yeah.
See, when you react, you just do it. When you respond, you think first. So it gives you skills to be able to manage that. And in this group, I heard a gentleman tell his story, and he told it raw and uncut. And this guy who told his story, I remember his story because it happened in the 80s in Los Angeles, where he talked about he murdered a man, and as a result of him murdering this man, they came to retaliate. They came to his house and knocked on his door, and they shot his brother, and then they shot his mother. And then so he had to go to prison, and then with this on his mind the whole time. And in addition to that, he had committed some other crimes too. And then you know, I could relate to his story. And at that point, I wanted to figure out at what point in my life that I turned left when everybody else went right. And that started me on my journey.
Wow. And what helped you along the way after you started?
What helped me along the way was the environment in San Quentin with out of all the prisons I've been to, I've never been to a place where so many people from the community come inside, right? All of the groups have these amazing people that come inside with the college program, with the church services, with every aspect of the groups in there. People from the community come in and show you all kind of love. They just, you know, they just believe in you. And when you have a feeling of somebody believing you and you feeling seen, then it helps you. It helps, you know, it helps you out. I remember when I first started school, first started the college program, I never was a good student. When I look back at my life, all my trauma came in school because I couldn't read, right? It came in school.
Wow.
And so when I started
in school, you hadn't learned how to
I still don't read well now.
Okay.
Right? But I'm in college now. I go to San Francisco State. Right? I'm in the cinema program.
Do you have learning disorder or what disorder?
Well, I don't know how they diagnose it, but I know I learn differently. I know now how to I know how I learn. So when I'm doing classes, I know guys that can just, you know, they don't even have to read the books and they go to class and do their essays and be through. Me, I have to study hard. And what I found is it's not the person smarter than me, they just study harder than me. And now I just study hard. It takes me longer, but I'm dedicated to doing it. You know, I'm dedicated to it. I'm dedicated.
That's interesting because, you know, like the reading level at a certain grade can predict truancy at a later grade, which then predicts dropping out at a later grade, which then predicts prison, you know, juvenile hall and prison. Like you can have very accurate predictors of learning levels. So like one of our partners, Mobilize Love, they partnered with GP2, Gary Payton Jr. from Lawyers, and he sponsored the first mobile dyslexic screening truck, and to take these very expensive tests to now these schools that can otherwise afford it, because you diagnose that early, and now you have interventions, and it can change the trajectory of a kid's life.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, and the remarkable thing about that is that we have all of this data. We know these problems. We know these problems exist, right? And why would you spend more money on prison than you would on schools? Early education.
We know these problems and we spend lots and lots of money. Like when you were incarcerated, I like to flip this and say you were elite.
Mm-hmm.
That's It's low end. It's $200,000. I don't have an accurate number. My guess is it's closer to $300,000 to incarcerate one individual in San Quentin for a year. I mean, of course, when you think about it, it makes sense. That's not even counting the cost of the real estate, because that's some of the most
most definitely
estate in the world.
Most definitely.
But it's, it'd be comparable to a high-end place in New York.
Yeah.
Because you have highly trained professionals and a lot of them for this people. So we spend a lot of money for it, for incarceration. Homelessness costs money. On nationwide, it's $60,000 a year per homeless person who's sleeping on the street. Like, for status quo, it's primarily emergency room services, cleanup, police response, and things like that. So we're spending lots of money. We know what works, but we don't spend money towards what works.
Yes. Yeah. It's just our body. And so how I'm looking at it is that now that I was privileged to be able to use my lived experiences to kind of fill some gaps in CDCR, right? So
I love it.
CDCR they have gaps in their system where, they have an R behind it, behind CDCRs for rehabilitation.
Yeah.
But they have a
Health
whole
Department of Corrections and
rehabilitation. They have a whole demographic of people that they leave out of this rehabilitation. And that's the people who commit sex crimes. If you have a 290 case, then you don't get no rehabilitation, and it's because of your safety and security. So if you have a 290 offense, most people can't go to other prisons. They have to go to what they call protective custody. And now, they called it PC, or they called it, I can't think of the term of they called it, but now they're getting away with that now, right? They getting rid of it now, and they starting to mix people into all these other prisons. And most of these guys can't handle certain prisons, and they know it. That's like them with the death row.
Because they're the lowest of the low.
Well, that's what they consider. What makes one crime better than the other crime?
I remember two experiences that really deeply impacted me. We were playing basketball. This was 2023, I think, or 20, when it just reopened after COVID. 2023 was the first season. And you're like, at halftime, we play basketball, and then at halftime we have a circle and we share, and some of the guys from the outside share their experience. We pray together, and it's all great. And you said, you guys have been sharing at halftime. I think we need to change that policy, and you guys will share and we'll also share. Okay. And that had happened occasionally, but now you're going to make it. He says, since I've been challenging other people to tell their story, and we're out in the yard in San Quentin. So we're playing open air, and, we have the teams in the program, but basically the whole log yard's listening. They're watching us, and you're like, I'm going to lead by example and share my story. And you shared that whole story. And, I was so naive, I didn't understand it. And then I'm reflecting back later, and I go, just in front of the yard, in front of everyone, you let them all know that you were a sex offender. And you was such powerful leadership, and you just owned it. And you also shared about your ACEs. It's heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, I believe that one of the programs that I started inside deals with people who've committed sex crimes. And what I found using myself is that I had so much shame behind what I did that I couldn't heal. And it wasn't until I was accountable for what I did, right, that I was able to be open to understand, how can I even get to a place where I can do something like that, right? How could I do that? And so, just like I talked about hearing another man's story before that helped me change my life, I'm trying to help change people's lives. I'm trying to make safer communities, because people are coming home, and just because I was caught don't mean that it's other people out here that do the same thing and they just too ashamed of it. We hear about it all the time, right? We hear about it all the time. It's a touchy subject. I mean, I did this in front of DAs. Everywhere I have to go, I talk about my story, right? I talk about it because I believe we're going to change this society.
Yeah,
We've got to change it and got to heal this.
And we have a mutual friend, Vanessa Russell, and she's, you're helping out as you can. As you know, I'm on the board of Love Never Fails, and so they're doing amazing work helping victims of human trafficking.
Yeah.
And a huge part of trafficking is sex, and sex, people paying for sex and the sex offense, and then the trauma at the beginning. And often there's a time in the society we always want to look for someone to blame. So we want to villainize one group. But when you look at both the guys who are, the victims and the abusers, when you go back to their childhood, the profile is exactly the same.
Most definitely.
Deep trauma. Not exactly the same. Very, very
similar
trauma.
Yeah.
Deep, deep, deep trauma in two different directions. And the whole point is, if we're going to solve this, we have to get beyond blaming. We have to take responsibility of it. That is what inspired me in you telling your story. I mean, you were such a strong leader. Everyone's looking up to you. It's quite obvious that everyone's looking up to you, and you're owning it, not making any excuses. Like I'd say all the time, like there's so many pastors I want to bring to San Quentin, not to minister. I want them to learn from you all about true biblical, godly repentance that leads to a life that's changed, and it's inspiring how, we're going to have to, as a society, get beyond blaming to ownership. And then when we work together, now we can really solve the problem and bring healing.
Yeah. It's about bringing healing, because if you look at it, if you look at society, if you look at the system where you have the offender offends and creates victims. The offender goes to a jail or to prison, but the victim is just left, right? The victim is left out there to deal with whatever it is that they went through, the trauma that they went through. What are we going to do to help heal some of these people, these women or people? Because it happens both ways, male and female. But how are we going to heal some of these people that's out here suffering in silence, right? And so that's one of the things about the group that we created, Brave, is that we want to bring in survivors so they can hear some people be accountable for the crimes that they did. And when they hear these people be accountable, it gets some healing in that. And they can help them move through some of the stuff, because we look at people out here now and you wonder why they acting the way that they acted, right? It was a shock for me coming home and seeing how the society is now. It's like, I thought I was bad in there. I come out here and it's like, my God, right? It's terrible, right? And so only thing I can do is be an example, trying to heal some people. We have a group going inside. I think we have 16 women going inside San Quentin to do this gender fishbowl, right? Where we gonna, this will be our second one we done. The first one we did while I was inside.
Gender fishbowl.
A gender fishbowl. Yeah, it's a gender fishbowl is an opportunity for women to come inside and witness men talk about we go through these exercises so we can see the perspective of what they go through. That's for the inside guys.
Okay.
Right? So they can really see what women go through, because 9 times out of 10, I only can speak for myself, right? How I was shaped by my environment growing up. All the stuff I came in the 70s, all the exploitation movies I seen. I stayed right around the corner from a hostro, right? I watched pimps and I inspired to be one of these guys because that's the only thing I seen, right? Not making no excuse for what I did, but now I understand how I can understand that. right? And then I look at the society now, and I look inside of Oakland, and we wondering why these kids or these guys going around here breaking in and everything, stealing and doing all this stuff. We blame it on society. No, we blame what the problem is the stuff that's influencing them. It's not by happenstance that
this community is dulerous. Our friend Stuart, in this whole thesis, he was writing a doctoral thesis. He's also working in San Quentin Prison.
most definitely.
Grew up in East Oakland. He was writing a doctoral thesis of what's the root. Why did East Oakland go from this beautiful community to this destroyed community? And his initial thesis when he's writing it is that it was the youth who destroyed it.
Mhm.
Then when he got in a little deeper and is why are the youth destroying it? And he demonstrated that he discovered and then demonstrated this fatherlessness, ropey family, the fatherlessness in
Yeah.
this, the wound of that,
Yeah.
is very deep.
Yeah.
And then if we're going to heal, we've got to strengthen families,
Yeah.
strengthen communities,
Yeah.
and it's not just, again, it's not about blaming. It's about taking responsibility, and all of us have to take responsibility, and it's society as a whole that needs to heal.
Yeah. And being active at it, because we know the problem, right? This not just come up with solutions. This be active in this.
Yeah, and I love how you're doing that. Like you said, it was hearing one guy's story, that was really changed your life, changed your trajectory. Now you saw one guy modeling it and like, oh, that's possible. That's what I want to do. And now I'm going to start doing the work so that I can be transformed, the power of stories. And, I said about when you shared your story in the yard, the other experience is, where was it for your resentencing hearing? It was in, what county?
Merced. Yes.
Merced County. So ill. I drove down there.
Yeah. That means a lot. You just don't know how it felt, right? For me to be incarcerated, right? I was incarcerated at that time. It was 25 years at that time, or 25 and a half years, right? And I look on the camera and all I see, and my daughter was there, right? But all I see is you and Bill and Joanne, right? These are people that I met in San Quentin.
Your daughter was there.
And my daughter. And my daughter, I have, at this time, I've been incarcerated her whole life, right? And so
there's half a dozen people. So that's very powerful because I hadn't heard your perspective, and I'm glad that ministered to you. To be honest, it was a privilege for me.
mhm.
And I go there's half a dozen or so people who've driven to be in the courthouse. Then was on Zoom. You had 38 people wait for 3 hours, wait their turn to share with the judge for, 60 to, 3
Yep.
minutes.
Yep.
60 seconds to, 180 seconds. Then, and two things spoke out to me, like this half a dozen women who you'd met in San Quentin Prison through the different programs who vouched for you that were sharp women. I mean, they were smart. They vouched for you. You had a prosecutor, like you had a great defense attorney, just a public defender.
Public defender, yeah.
Boy, he was brilliant. Yeah, he had been like a high-powered, very high-paid attorney, and this was almost like a second career, and he was wanting to get back. I'm like, this guy is really good.
Yeah.
But then you had at least half a dozen guys that came on, and they said, Uncle Brian, we call him Uncle Brian. And, they told the judge, yeah, I'm out, I'm working. They're working in media. They said, the reason I'm here is Uncle Brian. He's the one who inspired me to change. And then he trained me in the job I'm working in right now. Like, and it wasn't just one. Like, wow, that's powerful. It was, and what hit me so much is, well, one, I realized you didn't just have skills at media. Those are probably secondary skills. What your superpower is leadership and training and equipping others. You were the general manager of the San Quentin basketball program, San Quentin Warriors. You helped take it to a whole nother level. Yeah,
And
it's powerful.
You know what else was so powerful for me was that we went back in with Athletes in Action, right? First we went in that Monday and went to 94 Feet group. I had a chance to say a few words there, and then
That was fun. We didn't get to film that though.
yeah. We went back in that Friday
for the All-Star.
For the All-Star
game. I tell you, that All-Star game was better than the NBA All-Star. You have the best players in the world in the NBA All-Star game goofing off. They're playing.
Yeah.
And there you have the Athletes in Action prep squad. I mean, these guys are all college bound. Maybe one of them might even make it to the NBA. Who knows? These guys are elite.
Yeah.
And then you have the incarcerated brothers punching above their weight, giving them a run for their money.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good.
Playing their hardest.
But for me, it was powerful for me to go back in is because all those guys knew me. Most of the guys there knew me, right? They seen my walk in there. They remember, the basketball program. They see me do they see me in the media center, and I came back in working. I came back in
running
with the camera. Yeah, I came back in with the camera working.
Yeah.
Right. And you seen how many men come up and spoke to me and said how inspiring it was for them to see me come back inside. And that keeps me motivated, right? That keeps me motivated to keep on my journey. And in this motivation and showing these other guys, we're trying to heal some people. We're trying to heal some people and bring some people home.
You watch it, you see it, you see the community happen, like Treese, right? Treese, is that his name? The player, their star player.
Oh, the young, I didn't know him.
Young guy, but you met him.
I met him, yeah.
You don't know his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What he had shared, shared this in one of the circle ones. He comes in and he's new to the team, and this guy's talented. And he could have been playing on that prep squad.
Yeah, he could have.
College. I hope he does, man. And he might. Anyways, and he was saying he comes in here and he's part of the team, and but he's got an attitude because he's a young, he used the word bitch. He's full of himself, and then he's not playing. And the coach pulls him out, and he lets everybody know through his body language he doesn't like any of that. So coach disciplines him. And, he had to suck it up, and he had to realize, and what he learned through all that and through the team coming around him and supporting him and his cellie telling him, listen, we all had to go through this. And he learned that it doesn't matter how good he is. Basketball is a team sport. If he can't build the team up, he has no place in this. And he's sharing that, and I have been watching that journey, and I'm like, those are exactly what you need to learn. You need to learn. You need to build a community, and you need everyone to support you. That's one piece. And then you've got to learn, how do you become part of a community? How do you put yourself down so that you can use your talents to build the community up? And it all happens organically.
Yeah.
So magical.
Yeah. Yeah. Teaching life skills through the game of basketball.
Yeah. And the 94-foot program is it's an emotional intelligence course.
Yeah.
Based upon 94 feet. That's the length of the basketball court. Here, I got the little.
Oh, I said
that. Yeah. That glows in the dark too. So
yeah, I know.
Love it. You came in. You were the videographer director. And I was your assistant cameraman. And we filmed all that. What was tell me one of the highlights of the guys that you interviewed? The stories that spoke to you.
Oh, one of the stories that spoke to me, I think it was the gentleman that you just talked about. And he talked about the same story about how he was full of himself when he first got there. And he got sat down, and then everybody rallied around him. And what that did for him is he's never had that before. He's never had people believing in him or people coming to him and showing him, man, we got you. No matter what you're going through, we got you, right? And that's the beauty of that program, and it's organically happening. It's organically happening. It seemed like I've watched that program evolve over the years. I've watched it go from Bear to Raphael to Tone to now JB. And JB, he struggles with why is he in prison? Right? You remember the time before I went home, he lost his mother, he lost his father, he lost people in his life. Right? He was struggling. And all he had was us. I would go to a cell, right? I was a light keeper, which is like as a suicide prevention person there who I had the access to go to any building because of, our services. And I would go check on him. I'd go check on him. And the thing about that was that he would question, why is he in prison? Right? And I'm like, man, you know what? You want to be out of society doing the work, the coaching that you're doing. I said, man, God's plan might be for you to be right here, right now.
That's so powerful.
Right?
He's a very, very good coach. He's probably the most skilled. Every coach has been amazing, but he has the most credentials. His son coaches D1 school, right? He could be, if he was out, and I love that perspective. He's doing an incredible job, and he coaches and he mentors, and
Yep.
like that's the other thing that hit me. Another one of the young men was Sharon, and he had gotten, they throw, you play basketball and all your barriers come down,
Definitely.
and he had, he had gotten suspended from the team because of attitude, and very, very talented, and he'd come back and he's apologized. Yeah, says that's on me. I own that. And then he said, I'm going through a really hard time. He'd lost his grandmother, and then he's sitting there and he's crying in our circle, and we're all gathering around him. And I'm like, there's this incredibly safe place in a community. You don't show emotions in prison, and San Quentin's a better prison, but it's still a prison.
It's a prison.
Still a prison.
Oh, yeah.
It is still a prison. And here he is breaking down, letting his guard down, and we're all gathering around him. We're praying for him. It's definitely not a religious thing. I mean, it's the real deal. And it's just so powerful. You see it in real life. And the other thing, I'm not the only one, but you can interview. It's hard for me to recruit players to get in the first time. It's hard to keep them out the second time.
Yep.
We all get more out of it. Like, it touches us so deeply. Wow.
Yeah.
Power of community.
Power of community.
So now you're telling stories. Really what you're doing right now is you're re-entering, and that's a full-time job. And and you've learned so many skills. You have everything that's on a resume. And what I say is, if you'd gotten that any other place other than San Quentin, you'd be making, $250,000. You'd have headhunters chasing you down.
I don't think I want to live that life now. Right? I just want to. I'm happy where I'm at now. It'll be a year on March the 8th that I've been home. Right? And I live my life. I'm happy. I work hard, and then I do the things that I want to do, and I'm present. I don't need a bunch of money to be happy. I'm content.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Reconnected with your
I'm
daughter.
connected with my daughter. It's just so my daughter.
And you have some grandkids.
I have grandkids too. They came down, and I had the chance to take them to Golden Gate Park. We went to the Exploratory Museum. And then I took them to Golden Gate Park. Is that the name of it? Golden Gate Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went to the museum down there, and I had them all by myself, right? I had an opportunity to just give them anything that they asked for, I got it for them. Whatever they wanted, I did it, right? Because I tried to do that before. My daughter, she'd be like, oh, they don't need that. They don't need that. They don't need that. She wasn't there. I had them all to myself. Everything they asked me for, here. I gave it to them until they got tired. Till they got tired. It was just like, that was the best feeling in the world to do that.
I love it. Well, you're an inspiration. You're using your lived experience to make the world better. So what's your big dream? There's no barriers. You've got it all lined up. What do you want to do?
So, my dream is to get my program inside San Quentin, but not just in San Quentin. I want to take my program to other institutions.
And that's the program of
That's the program, the BRAVE programs of people who've committed sexual harm, right?
So that was the first of its kind, the BRAVE, or the first one in San Quentin?
That was the first. That was the first. So the first one we did was called Voices Heal, right? It's just BRAVE is just we had to switch the name up because there was some stuff behind it, right? But it's the same program. So this was the first program that CDCR allowed. And it's a regular program. We didn't want to take no credits, rack credits, where if you go to the program, you get some time off. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to be, if you want to be a part of this program, you can be a part of it.
So you're taking all this stuff that we know is very important, restorative justice and all, but you're applying it to this class that has been overlooked.
Yeah, so we taking lived experiences. We're not a treatment program, right? The whole main focus of this program is to get men, or to get not just men, to get people to be accountable, right? Because it's shameful to admit or talk about committing a sexual crime when society shuns on it. It's hard. It's hard. But until you get past that shame, you're not gonna even look at why you got there. So our program, we just want you to be able to be accountable and then give you some tools so you can look at, well, how did I end up doing this? Right? I have to go back and look at these ACEs. I have to go back and look and see, turn over this stuff that I've been suppressing with alcohol and marijuana. I've been suppressing this stuff because things happened to me as a kid, right? That I,
Alicia, who I just interviewed in a previous episode, she works with Love Never Fails.
Okay.
Now she went through Love Never Fails. She works for Maranatha Christian Center, and she's, incredible stuff. She was trafficked for decades. And her healing came remembering and then recognizing and dealing with over a process that she had been raped when she was 2. Deep trauma.
How do you work through that? That's the reason why we want to bring in survivors. We're trying to heal people. We're trying to really heal some people. We really are. So you ask me about what is my dream? That's my dream. My dream is to heal people. We want to make a safe society. I can't save everybody, but if I can get some,
it's so needed.
That's what I want to do. That's where I find my purpose at.
So if you're a pastor of a church out there, this is my challenge to you. Think about inviting Brian or other lived experience leaders in to your church, help educate you. We have to be healed as a society.
Have to be healed.
I mean, when you look at, I saw this one, this was in Passion Talks, and this one presenter was talking about the sexual dysfunction in our society. And she showed a heat map and said, this is what sex addiction looks like in a church. Mm-hmm. And what was surprising is basically, I think there was one poll that said 3 out of 4 adult males, so in a certain age group, are regular users of porn, which I would say are addicts, because, it's like a regular user of heroin. Porn is extremely addictive, okay? That's 3 out of 4. She showed it, and the stats are pretty much similar with the church-going population and the non-church-going population. And she showed it on a heat map, so it really hits you emotionally. It's like, guys, we talk a lot about addressing human trafficking and sex trafficking, and that's beginning to come into our psyche and our dialogue as a society. But until we address this deep sexual addiction and sexual dysfunction, well, in the heat map, the thing that hit me the most is that one of the hottest places was the pulpit. There's more sex addiction in the pulpit than there is in the general population. Now, again, you can't necessarily blame, it's not an issue of blaming, but we have to recognize it. We have to address these root issues, and we have to be healed as a society and all own it and get out of this us versus them and shaming others.
Shame.
Removing the shame.
Shame. That's the root cause, shame. And most people who have these addictions, they trying to fill a need, right? So if you can understand this need that you're trying to fill, right? If you can understand that need and just figure out another way to fulfill that need. But you have to do the work. And most people in society don't have the time to do the work. Right?
Well, they don't make it a priority.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice.
It's sacrifice, and you have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
And even if you start little, just do the work. I'm open. I'm open to do the work with anybody.
And to see that there's hope on the other side.
Oh, most definitely.
You can go through it. You can go through it, and you can become a better person. And Lord willing, you don't have to go through a worst case scenario where you're incarcerated and all that. But all of us have to realize that, but by the grace of God, there go I. There's no division.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of Jesus's teaching about, you may say, you may be self-righteous. You say, I never committed adultery. But if you look lustfully after a woman, you're guilty of the same thing. It's because it may not have run that course, but you're under the same cycle of addiction. I like to flip that around and realize that there's healing for you at whatever level. You can be free.
Yeah, that's the other part.
So, praise God. Thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, it's a true honor to be on this podcast. And I know before it was hard for me to get time to come. You wanted to get me here, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get my life together. But I said, hey, I'm going to dedicate the day. I'm going to put everything aside, and I'm coming down here to do this. And sure, anywhere I can help you. I told you that before. I got you.
All right. Well, we'll continue the conversation, see how it develops. You have a film out there right now that people can view, right?
Yes, I have a film that I've done before I left. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but they finished it for me. After I came home, it's called Red and Blue Equals Purple.
Okay.
It's about how you take the red and the blue, which was a gang thing. I'm from Southern California. So
yeah, it's a huge gang thing.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you meant Republicans and Democrats.
Oh, it goes that far back, and I'm contrasting on that. I'm using all this same stuff that the gang violence in Los Angeles that then spread it all over the country started with the Bloods and Crips. But if you look at it deeper, it goes all the way back to the Civil War. The red and the blue. It's in the Republicans and the Democrats, right? It goes deep.
I wanted to watch this. So where can people see this?
So we shown it in Half Moon Bay on March the 8th.
Okay.
But we are going to take this same group of incarcerated films that we have, and we're going to take it on tour. We're going to show it around, and 3 of these films was finalists in the San Quentin Film Festival.
So, and there's going to be another San Quentin Film Festival.
There's going to be another San Quentin Film Festival. October the 23rd and the 24th. This will be our second one. It was a hit. The last one was bigger than we expected it to be, because we started this while we were inside. Oh, let's have a film festival. We started thinking about it.
I did this first one, and they keep inviting me, but I couldn't go for whatever reason. I can't miss the next.
Yeah. And it was like a sold out crowd. Seinfeld came. Kerry Washington showed up.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. They was all there, and a lot of other people who, I'm pretty bad with names, but we had some really big industry people there. And we had a chance to really change their thinking. You know how it is when you go into San Quentin. You go in there, you have one perspective of how it is. You might look it up on the internet and see, oh, it's a maximum security prison. It got death row. Oh, and people be scared to go in there. But then once they get in there, they want to come back.
Before and after.
It's a whole
It's an epiphany.
Yeah.
It's an epiphany. It changes.
Yeah.
And it changes. I mean, changes you and sets you on a different direction. It's changed my life.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been in and out of prison for the last 18 years, and it's completely changed my life. Yeah, but I just can't break the habit.
That's crazy. And the crazy part of that is that I spent 26 years trying to get out of prison, right? Trying to get out of prison. And now I'm trying to do everything to go back inside, right? I'm trying to do everything I can to get back inside.
Well, thank you for being on the show, and
Yes.
thank you for listening to this. Subscribe to our podcast, man. Share this with your friends, man. Let's all work together. It's about community, and we need your help. And let's get educated so we can take proper action and solve the world's most important problems. I believe we can end recidivism. We're already ending it. The basketball program is not 80% recidivism. It's very small.
Very small.
We just need to build out, and we can change the system.
Yes.
You've changed the system. San Quentin as a system, as a whole, has evolved. I've watched it change from where it was. And you guys are jumping in. The prison officials are doing their part. The volunteers are doing their part. But you guys are jumping in. It's from the inside out. Healing's coming from the inside out. So if we can do it in a prison, we can do it in all of society.
In all society, yeah.
Let's do it, man. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening.